Welcome to SJU. Happy Thursday to you. It's all in support of direct relief and Black Lives Matter. So there are links in the description below for how you can support as well. And when you ask me, hey, you just said it's all, what's all that? All that is Solo. We're going to be doing polite movie debates, talk to each other nicely in a way that makes sense with reason and sound judgment show. Are you excited? Does that sound exciting?
Put that on a t-shirt.
Joe Starr is here, Billy the Business, and Spencer Gilbert is here. We're going to break down whether we should or should not have a Solo sequel. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. The mouse obeys our orders. It's going to be decided here today, and that heretofore and forever will be what happens. Is that not right, Billy?
I mean, you are responsible for Spider-Man in the MCU, so anything could happen after today.
That's right. That's the exciting part about being on the internet, friends. The Solo sequel is dead. Long live the Solo sequel? This is via Radio Andy on Sirius XM. Director Ron Howard made an XM radio appearance, and when asked about a Solo sequel, he had the following to say. Well, there's no sequel plan now, and it's amazing to be part of a Star Wars movie that seems to be kind of an underground hit, which is not what you'd expect. But that's been an odd, strange journey for that movie. So that's a Kevin Feige-esque non-answer answer. The film was received fairly positively by fans. Critics did not love it. It was the lowest grossing entry in the live action Star Wars franchise. However, we are here to ask ourselves and you, ladies and gentlemen, today, should there be a Solo sequel? And we will go around to the panel, and then Ryan's going to be collecting some answers from the chat. We want you to weigh in with your opinion as well, but we will start with Billy the Business, who I believe is our pro-Solo advocate.
I take umbrage with your statement that critics don't like this. It has 70% on Rotten Tomatoes. Critics absolutely did like this.
Take umbrage with the people that wrote the script. I'm just reading the words.
Ryan,
okay,
you piece
Ron
of trash.
Burgundy. Ryan, you're a piece of trash. This will come up in your mid-year review. I think business-wise, it would probably on paper to investors not.
By the way, I'm going to stop you right there. Ryan, hang on, because if you want to parse that point, then we should have our data points accurate. And I think you're bringing up a good point, Billy. Ryan, go pull the Metacritic score for Solo, because the Rotten Tomato score, as we've made clear a number of times on this show, is not a metric for how well liked a movie it is. It is a metric for the percentage of which people voted a non-splat. So they gave it a fresh. So 70% of critics gave it a fresh, but does not mean that it was a positive endorsement. I will tell you that anything above a 6 on Rotten Tomatoes is considered a fresh. And I personally, as a critic, have had movies that I detested, but gave a 6 for whatever the reason I gave it a 6. In the particular case of Transformers, I think it was The Dark of the Moon, and the reason that I gave it that score was because it was so far along in the franchise that if you don't know what you're getting, then that really is on you as the audience. And so for what you are getting, it is a 6 out of garbage. All right. So my point is they determined for me that was a fresh. It was not a fresh if you read the review. My point is this, Billy, 70% of Rotten Tomatoes does not mean that critics overall love that movie. Moving on.
Okay, I got the Metacritic score, which I specifically told Joe I would put it in the script and then forgot, so that's on me. So the Metascore is 62, based on 54 critic reviews, and then the user score is 6.1, based on 1,704 ratings.
So it's 62, so you understand, is not a ringing endorsement of that film. Moving on.
Although it does get you your college diploma, I think.
Your GPA isn't on your degree, kids. Remember it.
I wasn't going to say anything. I just threw a whole bunch of crap.
Wow, yeah, I just got spanked in the first 3 minutes of this show. Shit.
This is turning into a movie kerfuffle.
You brought it up, man. You challenged the presumption. I'm challenging back. Clap back.
I think that coming out of that movie, on paper, it might seem to the investors like kind of not the best idea to do a direct sequel. It's like trying to do a, Wrinkle in Time sequel. It's like, is that the best idea financially? But that being said, I think there's enough threads within Solo that you can branch off and do some different things, maybe on Disney Plus with like a Crimson Dawn series or Infus Nest being part of the Cassian series. There's tons that you can do without it being a direct Solo sequel. But I would love to get back into that period of Star Wars, because that's maybe the last era of Star Wars that hasn't been mined completely. There's still a lot of stories left in that era. And scene.
Oh, no.
Please don't hurt me, Roth.
No, I was debating the metrics, not the merit of the film itself. So you like it a lot, and
I love Solo. It's quickly rising the ranks of my Star Wars list.
So what is it that you said there were a bunch of threads in the movie that you would like to see continued? So like, what are some of those storylines and threads that you would like to see more of?
I mean, this is like just my personal thoughts. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but I definitely think that was not the last time that Han and Lando saw each other before they see each other again in Empire Strikes Back. So I definitely think there's more adventures. I think they kind of have a roller coaster relationship that we didn't see. There's definitely everything with Kira. I think she's one of the most tragic characters in Star Wars. She's just had the most miserable life. Would love to see like how her arc progresses. There's tons of stuff with the crime aspect of Crimson Dawn, which we never really got the true seedy underground series that I know Lucas wanted to do, so you could kind of tie that all up in there. And then everything with Enfys Nest. This is basically like the very start of the revolution in the Solo novel. It wasn't in the movie. I wish it was. But Enfys Nest, she takes all that coaxium that she gets at the end of the movie and she delivers it to Jyn Erso and Saw Gerrera from Rogue One. So you get like the beginnings of the rebellion. There's just a lot of different ways you can go with it.
So Joe Starr, where did you land on the Solo scale? Like, what would you have given it if you were forced to give a score?
I don't like this movie, but I am a loyal capitalist and I like the Star Wars stuff that's in this bad Star Wars movie. So I agree with stuff that Billy said. I would just pull all the DNA out of this sucker, and
Phrasing.
And throw it in other series. I would yank out Kira and young Lando. I'd pluck them all out and put them into other stuff. Leave this for parts. It's like how everyone hated the second. This is before J.K. Rowling was known to be awful. You remember everyone was like, "Man, Chamber of Secrets sure sucks," and then Half-Blood Prince was like, "Here's some reasons why it's good," and kind of redeemed it. I think you need a Disney Plus series that Half-Blood Prince is Solo.
Wait.
I don't know if that made any sense.
Wait, no. I'm just the movie Chamber of Secrets or the book?
The book, and probably the movie.
The book didn't suck. Okay, that's a different debate. Spencer Gilbert.
That's tomorrow's show.
Weighing on the Star Wars scale. You want to?
Look, I didn't mind Solo when I saw it, which I guess was kind of the problem. Coming off of Last Jedi, which I happen to like, I'm so sorry. I was excited that like Star Wars, whether it was good or bad or your cup of tea or not, they were taking big swings, and Solo seemed just like very safe, going back to the original trilogy stuff that we know, and just kind of explaining where a character got his vest and gun and stuff like that. And it was like a real basic origin story for a character we already knew. So I would like a sequel in the sense that it's like, I'm not very curious about how Han Solo got his name, but I do like to see Han Solo adventures. I'd like to just start, we know the character. Okay, he's a little younger now. This is an adventure he had sometime in his 20s. Let's just watch that. I don't need to know how he met Chewbacca. I don't need to know how he got the Falcon, how he hung out with Lando or met Lando or whatever was going on. It's a very forgettable movie at this point. But I would love to just see another random Han Solo adventure. I'd be fine with that. Would
you guys recast at all, or would you leave the casting?
I would recrew. I would look, Heart of Hearts, bring Lord and Miller back, please. Or Billy's shaking his head now. This is serious business. We can't make jokes about Han Solo.
There's a difference between making jokes and adding a comedic touch and then doing a 21 Jump Street where you're just flat out parodying it.
Well, how about a Spider-Verse? How about a Lego movie? They're clearly capable of respecting the source material while still making it fun and interesting.
From all reports, they were not. So that's why it just wasn't going to work. I just don't think Star Wars it fits that. Go ahead.
Well, I guess we'll never know. I'm just saying that Ron Howard, great guy, fantastic director. This was just a very safe movie, and it wasn't particularly good looking. It was very dark and muddy. I mean that literally. Like, it was a little bit like Battle of Winterfell style in some parts. Like the color palette was really gray. And I don't know, I just would love to see a different look, something a little more vibrant and fun, which is what I would hope you were getting out of young Han Solo.
I wouldn't mind if they straight up Indiana Jones young Han Solo and we just got like Han Solo and the mercenaries of Geldrick's Pass, or Han Solo and the gem of Mimbum Prime. Like, I'd be pretty okay with those movies. Or if you just even went Ewok style and just made them Disney Plus, like made for TV specials, that'd be kind of cool. I'd be into that.
Yeah, I was going to say just do Han Solo Jr., but I guess that's Kylo Ren, which is different.
Yeah.
But maybe he's probably had a few kids sprinkled throughout the galaxy. You could have a Han Solo Jr.
So Ryan is mentioning before the show that there's some rumors, again, totally insubstantiated rumors, but heavily rumored that a Lando series may be in development, that we may be seeing a number of spin-off series based on some of these characters. So not necessarily a direct sequel to Solo, but kind of spin-offs from what Solo established, and some of the parts of Solo that I think people really liked, like Lando. So would you guys be open to that idea? Would you rather see a straight Solo sequel, Billy, or just kind of like pull out some of those threads that you said you really enjoyed?
I mean, I'll take anything I can get. I think there's probably more to mine if you take out different threads and just like follow one of them. You can probably get more out of it doing it that way. If it all connects, great. If it's just like you're saying, just like random Lando adventures between that period and Empire, great. I'll take it. I like all those casts. It's not my favorite Star Wars movie. I don't think it's as a disaster as everyone says it is, but there's definitely like cool ideas that you can expand upon. So I'll take a couple Disney Plus series out of it.
I think I'll call my shot. I think what we're definitely going to get is Infus Nest will probably tie into the Bad Batch.
Probably.
Series.
I would agree with that.
Right, what are they saying in the chat?
Or Cassian's show.
Oh, chat has lots of differing opinions. They're actually getting really good to get involved with there. I'll just start reading some out. At Sean Smith, how about a prequel to Solo? Sandy Newton and Woody Harrelson doing space heist with Lando. Any thoughts on that? On a prequel?
That's what I was kind of hoping Solo would be. Like, I really wanted Solo to just be like called the Kessel Run, where like Han and Chewie are there, but they're not the focus, and you focus on all these new characters, because I thought Danny Newton, Woody Harrelson's characters were really fun and interesting, and that's kind of what I wanted that movie to be, because I proven myself wrong. At first I was going to say you don't need to call the movie Han Solo to sell a Star Wars movie, but then even calling it Han Solo did not sell the Star Wars movie, so I just proved myself wrong there. But I'd also be down with that. I think Filoni's branching out enough directions in that era that we'll probably get that in some way, shape, or form. I could see Woody Harrelson being like, yeah, man, pay me in joints and I'll come play around on the Cassian show for a day or two or something like that.
Heck yeah. We'll keep going. The next big rap star 92, congrats on your future success, Mr. Rapstar, says Kiera and Maul. And Kiera and Maul. So they love Kiera and Maul. They want more of that. They also said pick me, and so I picked them. So good job.
That's all it takes.
That's what you want. I like the manifesting in the universe that's happening.
Yeah, absolutely. They're doing good. At Valentine Lassar also says, yeah, I don't like Solo that much, but I suppose I would be interested in something if the script was good. I think that's fair.
There you go.
Adam Holbert will say, I will stand by my reason for boycotting the film in theaters for firing Lord Miller, but it is not a garbage film.
It turned out okay.
Yeah. At Francisco Melendez says, to be honest, I hated Solo. It's my bottom Star Wars movie, but I can see a sequel being more interesting. Just do their own thing. Stop tight roping the canon. Be bold. Do your own thing.
Do your own thing.
Have there been any movies that you guys just plumb hated, but then the sequel's kind of redeemed? I'm trying to think of any examples of that where the sequel turned out pretty okay.
This is really random, but I would say Star Trek: The Motion Picture is unwatchable to me, and I just start it at Wrath of Khan. You might as well just call that Star Trek 1.
Yeah, the motion picture's a little slow.
It's pretty boring.
I just can't stop thinking. It just popped into my head of like a Lando Star Wars sex anthology show. It's like the Red Shoe Diaries, where he's basically like your host, and he's talking about different alien lovemaking techniques in each episode.
I love. Yep, I'm very into that.
I would watch Sex in the Cloud City if he's just writing his journal.
Dear diary, today I met this Twi'lek, and boy, did she or he have large floppy head things. I don't know Star Wars well enough to bury it.
Nailed it. It's all canon now.
Another steamy night with Lobot.
One more chat comment I'll say, at James Bunt says, pick the person below me, which was at William Rice, who says, let's get a Crimson Dawn series. So a lot of love for the Maul and Crimson Dawn aspect of the Solo universe, for sure.
Isn't Crimson Dawn the bad guys from True Lies?
Yes, crossover confirmed. Crimson Dawn, I think, is the way you could do that.
No, the Crimson Jihad, excuse me.
I'm sorry. Completely different Crimson group. Also different than the Crimson Guard, Cobra Commander's elite guard. Did you get I can't remember if it was the full pilot or just like a 10-minute presentation, but of the George Lucas like Star Wars Underground show.
What's that?
I think it was a full.
Was it a full
pilot?
No, it was an effects presentation, I think.
It was long, at least.
It was long.
Yeah, it was like 20 minutes.
Pilot length.
Yeah.
It's worth watching. It's interesting. The group that was going to do the effects for George Lucas's Underground like TV series that never saw the light of day because it was going to be too expensive. The presentation they did for him is online. It's worth taking a look at. But Crimson Dawn's probably how you get close to what he wanted to do.
So Ryan, you're going to be in charge of tallying the comments and seeing how many are positive and how many do not want a sequel. And we will make the definitive answer right here, ladies and gentlemen, and that will be that. It will be decided universally, and that will be the law of the land. Sorry, that's all. That it's now in your hands. Vote wisely. Everybody has laid out their case. I guess I sort of agree with the comment that was just essentially like, if it's a good script, I would be interested in seeing it, you know? For me, it was a very, very safe, very, very rote, but also somehow disjointed film, and leaned way too heavily for my tastes into answering questions that I didn't have. That's just my take. Was not my favorite Star Wars movie at all. I don't really need to see more. I would rather see new things than that. Or I think there are other characters in the Star Wars universe that I would rather see us explore in periods of their life that I would rather see us explore. Things like Ahsoka post leaving the Jedi. I'd rather explore that. Again, if done well, that could also be done poorly. Anything can be done well or poorly, but I don't have a lot of questions about Han, and I also think it was a marriage of character and actor that we rarely see. And so I don't really want to see a different version of it either. That's the version that I think is locked in my memory, but I respect everybody else's opinion. That said, I got mine in before you vote. So Joe Starr is going to thank you for your patronage, and then we're going to come back, and Ryan is going to make his proclamation about whether or not Billy's going to get a Han Solo movie.
Joe's just frozen.
Did he freeze?
Oh, I thought he was just like really into that final closing argument.
I thought he was just resting.
I thought he was just
become a daily tradition.
I thought he was expressing the pure existential angst and exhaustion that I'm currently feeling. Like
I think everyone got woken up by the earthquake real early.
Yeah,
that's what you're watching.
What you're watching right now is we were woken at 4 a.m. by an earthquake. And it was a pretty violent one. And then there were a series of aftershocks. So that was added on to the world that we're in, where you're just like, I don't know, man, either I need a solution or just send a beam to take me. I don't know. Like, it's just
But before you do that, let us pause for a moment to thank you guys for being with us every day. Y'all should be subscribing if you haven't yet, and you hit that like button, hit that bell, and you'll never miss another video. Also, be sure to come back tomorrow, not here, but to our Fandom 5 trivia show, link in the description, where you can answer friends trivia questions and win real money to spend on your friends that you can't see no more. The link is in the description below. And also a big thanks to everyone who watched Roth and Joe's Umbrella Academy Season 1 review. They'll be reviewing Season 2 on Monday, so you have the weekend to catch up. That's your Screen Junkies, what are we? Fandom Entertainment Update.
Thank you. Thank you. That was very well done on the fly. Spencer Gilbert, congratulations. That was super well done. Do tune in to the Fandom 5 trivia event. It's going to be fun. You can win up to $650 with your friend's knowledge. Joe Starr hosts it, and he does a really great job. I also just want to state for the record that Billy the Business is back with us this week, and I'm so excited and delighted to see him here. So anybody that would interpret otherwise by my pushback on our metrics, you're wrong. I love Billy. He's great.
When you're wrong, you have to get schooled. That's why I'm here, is to learn new things. And then just be very quiet afterwards.
Billy, have the final word endorsing Solo, the Star Wars movie, and then Ryan is going to make his proclamation to the gods.
Star Wars is dumb fun. I love it. It's dumb fun. Sometimes I think we put some of these things on a pedestal and look at my wall. So for me to say sometimes we put these things on a pedestal is a lot. But I think Solo is a fun movie. It didn't set the world on fire. Didn't need to. I like heists. I like adventures. Give me another one. That's it.
Well argued. Ryan, what have the people said?
Okay, so I did my best to count. For people who are wondering, I think polls got discontinued on YouTube a month ago. That's why I didn't do a poll. So some people in the chat were wondering why I could throw up a poll. They got rid of those. So my best count is, unfortunately, it's actually pretty close, so it's hard to tell. I saw about 14 to 15 very explicit yes votes for it. I think I counted 13 just from the section, since you mentioned it, no's. But I would say that overall there was a lot more who were saying, like, we would want a Disney Plus series or like some other form of the storylines. But yeah, it was. Now a couple more people are voting now again, so I'm seeing an extra yes from Myra M. So it's actually, as cliche as it sounds, it was pretty close.
Well, guys, unfortunately we have the really tough task of living up to our sacred duty and deciding this for the world. Since the people have given us such a close call, I think that the decision is going to be that we will not see necessarily a theatrical direct sequel to Solo with the same cast, but what we will see is a Disney Plus series focused on some of the characters and themes that Billy has described as being interested, as have some of you, potentially beginning with a Lando series. So it's done, it's written, and so it is written, and so it is.
Roth, how does it feel to have all this power?
It feels good.
You decided so many things.
Yeah, I gotta say, yeah. Feels good. It's a little overwhelming. You don't want to make the wrong call, but you just gotta have faith. Trust your gut is what I would say when you're making the decisions that impact Hollywood from now into the future. So, also, let's just get a series with lots of prosthetics while we're at it. Since I'm making these calls, I'd like my boyfriend to have work. So yeah,
I'm into that.
Loads of aliens.
I mean, the one thing you can say about Solo, dumb or not, the very first thing you see is like a huge puppet creature, like old school. So at least they're still pumping out those creature effects, which whether it works or not, that's your opinion, but it's still fun to see, like, not a big CGI monster.
Yeah. All right, we did it, guys.
A Star Wars story.
we had a healthy, though exhausted debate. Now we are going to move on to story number 2. Kevin Smith, Green Hornet. Is Hollywood trying to make fetch happen? I don't know. This is via Deadline. Kevin Smith is reunited with the Green Hornet in a new animated series. The Clerks filmmaker was teamed up with the kids producer Wild Brain to develop a new series based on the classic superhero franchise. He was in the past hired to write a feature film, but it didn't go. If you guys remember, the film that was made was with Seth Rogen, directed by Michel Gondry. That was in 2011. However, Kevin Smith turned his script into a comic book. What's wrong? What happened? What did I miss?
I'm following what Jonathan's doing with that picture, and it was very funny. He just kept zooming on whatever it was they were trying to serve us. Will you throw that back up, Jonathan?
Super bubble.
What is that?
It's bubble gum.
Oh, bubble
Oh, they're
gum.
selling bubble gum. Look at that.
This is a disturbing image. I don't like that image next to the bubble at all. It's very upsetting. Anyway, Smith and Wildbrain are developing the new animated series to target a family audience. So this is going to be a Kevin Smith kids show? Anyway, it will be set in contemporary times following the adventures of a reimagined Green Hornet and Kato, now the grown son of the original Green Hornet and the daughter of the original Kato. And so they partner in to fight crime and shenanigans ensue.
So that would be like
Every city.
That'd be like great grandson of the Lone Ranger then?
Yeah.
I think so.
Right.
I don't know if it's great grandchild or just grandchild is the Green Hornet Lone Ranger connection. You could have had a whole shared universe and they blew it.
Good. Green Lantern, the Green Knight, Green Ranger.
Greeniverse.
Yeah. Green Arrow.
Jolly Green Giant.
Al Green.
The Big Green.
David Gordon Green.
Brian Austin Green.
Greenpeace.
Got Seth Green too. All right.
Seth Green.
What if
yeah.
it was all of the first characters you listed going up against Greenpeace? That was the preference.
Wow. Yeah, this is not exciting. I'm sorry. I mean, I like Kevin Smith's superhero projects, and I'll bet the comic's cool. And you know what? I'm talking myself into it. Maybe it's cool, but just the idea of the Green Hornet always seemed to me like Batman if he had Alfred do all the fighting for him. It's just like, Kato, go. It just seems like kind of a lame concept. Just a rich guy with like a badass what do you call him? Man friend ward. That he just sicks on criminals. It's like,
I think you have to play with, like, you have to acknowledge that, right? Like,
I
you
felt
have
like
to,
the movie did.
the movie did, but
I really liked that movie. I thought it was really funny. But I guess no one liked that movie.
it was very. How can you like that? That's like the bad version of Lord and Miller, like where it's self-aware but also sucks.
I also have no affinity for Green Hornet, so it's like whatever you present to me, it was just like, oh, this is a funny comedy with some, at the time, cool 3D effects.
Yeah.
I thought Michelle Gondry was a, like, bold choice, but then ultimately the wrong choice for a movie like that. You know? He was coming out, like, he's just not that kind of filmmaker at the end of the day.
Yeah, not a big studio blockbuster guy for the better.
No, and he talked about it. He just, that was the part of the process that sort of killed him, and I think really impacted the film, was that he just couldn't deal with the level of notes he was being given.
Yeah. So that sucks, but I don't think they'll do that again with Kevin Smith. I think you know what you're getting at this point. To me, the Green Hornet concept doesn't appeal to me, but I'm sure he's doing something that's updated or different about it, because Alfred, go get that guy is not the action cinema I'm looking for.
Although I would watch that Batman series where it is actually Alfred in a mask, and he's just like, Alfred, handle it, and this poor old rich man just has to like old-timey box with supervillains. My only affinity with Green Hornet was when he would cross over with the Adam West Batman. I was always really excited when that episode came on. What I do think will happen with this show, especially if it's a younger audience family show, is the same thing that happened to like Teen Titans Go and this new Thundercats show that's for little kids. Is that people my age will go, "You ruined Thundercats," and then we'll just have to hear a bunch of 40-year-old men scream about how the honor of Thundercats has been ruined by a show that's not for them. That's what I'm assuming is going to happen here. Kevin Smith has been hired to adapt his comic into a show for younger kids, and a lot of 45-year-old men are going to be really frustrated by it.
Hey, Joe.
But I feel like Thundercats hits that 80s nostalgia, so you would get 45-year-olds. Green Hornet is like a 30s. He peaked in like the 30s. You're going to get like some World War I veterans.
They're going to be furious on behalf of the greatest generation.
Yeah, it's gonna be like a boomer cascade. Like the irritation will just cascade down the generations, I think, probably. Also, sometimes people like once something is made that it's not something they necessarily cared about, but it just reminds them that existed. Like I will say that Joe just made a very salient point, but all I heard was that there was a new Thundercats, and I was like, "There's a new Thundercats. Is it good? What did they do to it?"
They made a very what they do. They made a very like silly, cutesy Thundercats for like little kids, and my peers were not happy.
Oh, dear!
How dare you?
We must protect Lion now.
Yeah, at all costs, Lino must be protected. I do like the idea of them being angry on behalf of their fathers and grandfathers for Green Hornet, though. Like, my grandpa didn't parachute into Nazi-occupied France so that you could mess this up for me. Like,
all right, we're gonna proclaim. What are we saying to this one? We have to proclaim something at the end of every segment. I've decided. Billy, proclaim.
3 seasons and a direct-to-DVD movie for the Green Hornet show. That's how long it'll last.
All right, that was a very specific proclamation.
Ryan.
Wow, mark it.
Ryan, what are they saying in the chat? Do they want a Green Hornet?
Not a lot of Green Hornet. They mostly kind of devolved to saying other green names and talking about Thundercats in the chat. So there's been some good talk. It does
that's
seem
our
like
audience, man.
The hype for Green Hornet is relatively low.
I just want to say that I really love the Thundercats. That's it. I just want to note that for the record. All right, we're going to move on to segment 3, which is a segment in which Ryan tells this is what is written. What do we do? Roth can talk about Rhea Seahorn here if she feels like it. Otherwise, we can just end the show. Rhea should have been nominated. I think you guys hit this really hard yesterday, but it is really, really, really a snub. Like, that is insanity. You're crazy. I revoke your license to nominate Emmys. She's amazing. She deserved it. Do you even Saul is I guess what I'm trying to ask you. Do you even Saul? Because the show is so good, but this has been her season. Incredible arc over the series in total. The writing, the acting, the character development. Where will she go next? Keeps us invested in the show. Bunch of bullshit. That said, I recommend Norseman on Netflix if you're just looking for something to tune out to. It's lots of fun. It's basically a workplace comedy about Vikings. Yeah. Anybody else? Final thoughts?
No, I mean that was a wild journey from A to B. I would hate to take it somewhere weirder.
Yeah. No C will measure up.
All right, bye.
The only final story we could talk about just briefly is that apparently Pixar is making an animated version of Call Me by Your Name. Did you guys see this? They're making a movie they just announced a movie called Luca that's set like an unforgettable boy's summer on the Italian coast.
Right on.
Anyways, check it out.
Does the peach talk?
Is the boy unforgettable or is the summer unforgettable? And I think Joe's raising a really important point. Is the peach now going to be a sidekick?
Does the peach talk?
It's voiced by John Lovett.
That's like the thing. That's the short before the movie is about a very unlucky peach.